Amazon sellers, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to help you decide which attribute selection to choose when you are making a listing on Amazon. Now I imagine most of you watching are either first time sellers and you've never been in anything like this before and you're wondering, what do I do, what do I choose? Or you've been in the game for a while and you've always chosen one attribute type and wondered what actually would be in it for me if I was to choose a different attribute type. So I'm going to be telling you the differences between them and explaining the benefits of each one. So let's start off with required. So we've gone ahead and found a listing that we want to join and we have 3 attributes here. So we are on required right now. We can add in the quantity, add in the price that we want to sell for. There is a currency conversion option here, so basically that will convert, it will fill in converted local currency prices for active/enabled marketplaces in the marketplace table, which is down here. And you can also add in the item condition, as well as choosing your fulfillment channel. Depending on the actual item itself, you could get a few extra things here. Like, for example, we can see battery. Obviously, there's nothing here because this just straight up doesn't have a battery. But if you have an item that, say, does have a battery, because often, you know, that is classed as hazardous because batteries, you may be required to fill in a bit of information that basically just goes towards safety and awareness. So that is the required field. As you can see, there is not very much to it at all. This is like the bare minimum that Amazon needs. And even if you switch on over to one of the other attribute types, this information you have to fill in because it's vital, it's important. You can't really have a listing without this kind of information. So now let's move on to recommended. Now with recommended, you can get a couple of extra fields here. Particularly again dependent on the product, so you might get a few extra if, say, the product has a battery. But the big difference here is the fact that we can add in a SKU. So this is a stock keeping unit. This is your way of identifying the product. Now you can enter in whatever you want in here. How you choose to remember your product is completely up to you. It just makes it easier if you need to, say, reference this product to Amazon, or you need to find it in your own inventory. Now, I would say it's a good idea to have a SKU in there. I'm surprised that this sort of thing isn't in required, although technically, like, you can go ahead and add the SKU like just fine after you've gone ahead and made the listing. However, I would say that it's a very good idea to get the SKU in here. I mean, you're filling out all this stuff anyway, so just add in the SKU. It doesn't have to be anything overly complicated. I've seen that some sellers use like a system of, like, it just seems to me like random numbers, figures, letters. And like, I would struggle to remember some of the SKUs that I have seen out there. So I like to keep things like fairly simple. So like, say this is my first ever shipment of this particular product, and you know, I want to remember it. I would just go like Funko Indiana 1, you know, 01, whatever you want to do. Separate that out with an underscore. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. I like to keep mine nice and simple like that, but again, it's completely up to you what you want to do with this, whatever system works best. So I would just say to have a SKU in there. Again, it just makes it a lot easier for referencing and also finding said item. Everything else is exactly the same. Now, all attributes is where things are going to look significantly different, because this is every possible field that you can fill in order to then go ahead and make the listing. Now, it is quite a lot, and the thing is with this, you don't even have to fill out every single field that you see in here. Obviously, it gives you every possible field, and you can just fill in what you want out of this. Obviously, you need to do the required things, so anything with a little asterisk next to the factor, and it will often highlight the box for you. So you definitely do need to fill in the required every single time, no matter which attribute selection you choose. However, with all attributes, obviously you can, as I say, add in a lot more here. And this is incredibly important if you are shipping outside of your own home country. So if we go back a few videos of mine, Amazon are really starting to crack down on the country, region of origin stuff for anyone that is selling into a different country, into a different marketplace, it's important. It's a requirement. To be fair, at this point in time, I'm very surprised that this has not been moved into required. I really think it should be, or at least into recommended. I think this needs to also be in some of those other sections. So, maybe you're watching this at a point in the future when that has been added, and if so, great. In which case that will be in there. But for now, at this point in time, we have country, region of origin in here. It is very important that, you fill this in alongside everything else that is required. Otherwise, you will basically not be permitted to sell into another country, into another marketplace. But obviously you don't have to worry about that if all you're doing is selling in your own home marketplace. Some other aspects as well that you may want to consider is things like, are there any gift options available? So like if you can print a message with the item, indicate that here, if left blank, defaults to no. Gift wrap, can you gift wrap that item? If it is left blank, it does default to no. So that's why you wouldn't have to worry about things like that so much in recommended and required. But it's completely down to you. Like, can you offer those things? Your choice. And obviously a bunch of a load of these other bits of information, you can typically find these things like on the item itself or online, depending where you've bought it from. A lot of places where you will buy an item from online will have a lot of this kind of information. But don't worry if you can't fill it all in, because, as I say, it's not like it is 100% required. Apart from country of origin, if you are selling into other marketplaces. Again, I think that just needs to be moved. But the benefits of each of these, so required obviously is good if, say, you have a lot of items that you're getting through in listing and you just do the bare minimum, boom, get through. Recommended, I mean, it's not really a million miles away from what's required, and you have the SKU in here. That's pretty much the big difference. I would say that recommended is my go-to because obviously it's all the bare minimum stuff and I can add in my SKU at the same time. So just makes life easier for me having that there. But all attributes is a good idea, especially if you really want to boost your visibility on Amazon. People will pay for ads and things like that, but they haven't filled in what they can on this. And I understand that obviously it's not a tiny little task. There is quite a bit to it. Again, you don't have to fill in absolutely everything, but the more that you can fill in on here, the better it is for you to be discovered by customers, especially if it is a listing that you are creating as a brand new thing on Amazon. It really does help you get discovered a bit more, helps Amazon to match your item to customers that are looking for something in that area. So the more you can fill in, the better it is for you. And even though there's nothing out there that even specifically states so, I would believe that it probably has some effect on just Amazon's view of you. It'll probably be recognized if you do that enough times. It will probably have a contribution to your account health, and I'd even say, things like buy box as well. You've taken the time to fill in more information, so Amazon's algorithm does recognize this. It definitely does. That is a fact, and that's how it's able to match your stuff to customers depending on their search terms. More so if you have more of this filled in. So if it's there and Amazon has accepted it as part of the algorithm and you have filled in more, I do believe that it definitely has an effect on things like your account health, even if it's not in a major way, because I don't think it won't be, but it will contribute somewhat, a little bit, and that's better than not having that little bit. And, I'd also say, personally, I believe it has an effect on the buy box. Obviously, don't quote me on that because there's nothing out there that explicitly states that. But I do believe that. And I have noticed that on listings of mine, when I have filled in a little bit more, again, I don't go crazy, but say I've looked for this item on a retailer and I bought it. If there's some bits of information on there that I can just put in here, just a copy and paste job, I just will, because it's already right there, so I might as well. And it's just whatever it is that I can fill in. But yeah, required is great for if you've got a lot to get through, you just want to get it done. Recommended is also very good. That is my personal top choice because you can add in the skew and all the tributes. A lot of people overlook this, but it's kind of like the undersung like listing hero. Again, the more you can fill in, the better it's going to be. But hopefully this has helped you understand the differences between them and what the benefits are of these various attributes. Thank you for watching.